In the last episode, we ended up creating an event handler, which moved out all of our call functions from here over into our ready event here. And then in this video, so we're going to start off with creating our command handler. So inside of here, we're going to create a file. It's going to be called command handler. You can name it whatever you would like, but I'm going to name it this. And inside of here, we're going to have it use two different type of commands. I'll get to that in 1 second. So we're going to need to acquire path from last time, and we're going to need to acquire get all files too in our utilities directory, and we're going to want to export a client as well. So we're going to basically, Discord.js has two different ways of handling messages. You can either use slash commands or regular message page commands, which have prefixes. I bet if you're a little older with Discord, you would know that prefixes used to be the standard, and then slash commands came out, especially with Discord.js v14. They became very popularized, and now Discord's kind of forcing you to use slash commands, but I'm going to show you how to use both anyways. There is actually an intent for you to use on the Discord API developer site. If you go into your application, once you get your bot in over 75 different servers, you'll need to have that intent to use message-based commands. But so far, we're not that big yet, so you don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna let our message commands, and we're gonna make that equal to a Discord collection, which is just a collection of different things. So it's totally working. Perfect. Don't need this. Alright. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to find our command folders. So the basic structure of what we want here is inside of here, SRC folder actually. We're going to want to create a folder called commands, and then inside of here we'll have different folders that correspond to like different command categories, basically organizing our commands a little bit. So we're going to need to get all files, and we're going to need to take the existing path, and then we want to go back a folder, and then we want to go into our commands folder just like this. We do not need a slash here, and we do want to include folders. If you don't remember, if we go into our utilities here, it takes in a second directory, and we only want this to return an array of folders, so we want to set this to true. And then for const folder of command folders, so for every array item that's in the command folders, so for every folder, we're going to want to create get all files. So for every command file in these folders, so we're just gonna search this and get all files inside all the folders, and then we're gonna need another for loop. So for const file of command files, we're going to want to set our command equal to that file, and then we're going to first we want to client.commands.set command.name command, and then message commands.set this. Alright, so that's the basic structure for this. And now we're going to move on to the little bit more complicated section, which is interactions. The next thing that we have to do is add stuff to our env file. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to go to my example file just to show you what we need, because I don't want to disclose my secrets. But here, we're going to need to add client ID and guild ID. So client ID is going to be the application ID of your bot. You can find it by going here. Application ID is here. You're going to copy that, and then in this case you're going to set this equal to like your client ID, whatever it is. So that's what's going to go there. If you're using your client ID. And then the next thing we want to do is goal ID. So this will be a development server, so you can send your slash commands to your development server, or if you want to send it globally, you could do it like that. The way to get that is go to Discord, right click on the top left, and then you're gonna go on a copy server ID and then make that equal to your server ID. Now that that's done, we are ready to proceed with the next step. So we're going to want to make client.user.id, and we want that ID to be equal to your what you set in your env file. So in this case, I did not name it hackinetic env, I named it client ID. And now we're gonna want to set our basics for our slash commands. So we have to make this equal to slash commands, and instead of making this a Discord collection, we're gonna map off the current commands that we have, and we're gonna map and we're gonna pass in command and use proper syntax here like this, and then here, and then this. Alright, yeah, cool. So now we have this set up. So we're gonna let slash command map, which is gonna be how our slash commands are gonna be structured. So we want our name equal to our command name, description to command the description. Actually, one more before this, aliases, which is different arguments that you can use for your command. This is more important for your message-based commands, but this shows the rough structure that we want. Description, then options, and then we want default permission, which will just be command.default permission, and then usage, which will be command.usage, and then example, which will be command.example, and then execute, which will be what we will be using to execute our code. So that will be equal to not command folders, command.execute, and then the most important one, slash execute, which will be executing our slash commands, which will be equal to slash execute. Alright, so this looks a little complicated, but I'll explain what this is supposed to mean right now. So what this is basically saying is our command name is our command name, aliases is all aliases. This is all the data that we want to use for our commands. Over here, execute will be executing our message-based commands, and slash execute will be executing our slash commands. They'll be all within the same file. They'll just be separated a little bit between things. Alright, so now we need to move on to the next thing. After I quickly fix this error, we can just worry about this later. Alright, so next thing we want to do is we're going to want to set the command, so client.commands.set, and we want to take in the parameters of slash command map dot name, and then just command mappings that we have here, and we will want to return our slash command map. So in this instance, you could, if you wanted to, you could console.log your entire loaded, like do something like this. I think this is totally unnecessary, and I wouldn't do it. But if you are debugging something, like if one of these parameters are not right, it does kind of become useful to see which is what. Alright, so then the next thing after this would be to actually start deploying our commands. So to start deploying our commands, we're going to need to use something called process.argv, which I'll explain shortly. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is go ahead and create our message, create event. So inside events, make a file named message create, must be named message create, otherwise it will not work or reference a different event if you're lucky enough to name it like that. So it must be named message create. I cannot stress that enough. All this does, basically, copied straight from Stack Overflow.
My disappointment
is immeasurable.
Basically, it makes it so that all the quotes, like if you were to send a message inside Discord, anything inside of these quotes, even if they have spaces, will act as one argument, so that if you need to, for example, if we're going to make an embed builder command, and you need the title to be more than one word, you can surround it in these you can surround this in these double quotation marks. I cannot say these as a message-based command. Then you'll be able to. While a little obsolete, still nice to have. So now we're going to need to require Discord here, and then we're going to make a modular exports, and we're going to make an async function which passes client and message. And then we're going to go ahead and start throwing in things. So if the message author.bot, if a message was sent by a bot, or if message dot channel dot type equals DM. So basically, if the bot is DM, then return because we don't want it to do anything. Now const mention is going to be equal to this and plus more uh, weird things that you might not understand what they mean. I'll go ahead and type that in real quick. This client user ID. Basically, what this does is it says add mention the bot. It's a little complicated, so I'm not going to explain this too much. And then we need to know what the prefix of the bot is. I'm just going to go ahead and set it to something simple like dot. Once we get databases in hand here, we're going to make this so it's a changeable prefix, but right now we're not going to deal with that. And now we're going to go ahead, if a message was sent that mentions the bot, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually create an embed. So bot prefix is equal to new embed builder. That's a new function. If you're now migrating to v14, it's no longer message embed. And we're gonna do a bunch of setting here.
What follows is a brief construction montage.
Alright, the next thing that we need to do is we need to if the message content does not start with the bot prefix, then go ahead and return, or yeah, and then we're gonna set a couple things. So we're gonna set the current date. This is similar to what we did uh, inside our ready event here with date.now. We're gonna do the same thing here. So date.now here, and then const args is equal to our split command line, which is what we're doing with inside double quotation marks counts as one argument, mesh.content size prefix length, and then const cmd equals arg.shift to lowercase. Alright. Now const command equals client.commands.get. We're getting our commands that we sent. cmd or client.commands.find, in this case C, and then we're going to find all the aliases that may be in our command. Alright, so now we're ready to move on to the next thing. So if there is not a command, then just return, don't do anything if there's no command. And then if command dot guild only if it's guild specific, or in this case message dot channel dot type DM, we're just gonna return, we're gonna actually return this here. We're just gonna copy this and then paste this here. So just naming this bot prefix with the cmd guild only, like that. And we're gonna actually have to go ahead and set another author object. So we're gonna say author prefix for this one, and then we're gonna have to change it down here because it'll be referencing something that doesn't exist. And then in here we can say guild only. I have a terrible variable naming scheme, but you're allowed to name these variables whatever you would like to, and whatever you are able to read. So this is here, and then we're gonna say I can't execute that command inside DMs like this. Alright, cool. Next up, we're actually going to create a try statement, and then we're going to also create a catch statement down here. We'll refer to our catch statement later, but it's going to be something simple. We're going to command that we're going to execute, and we're going to pass in a bunch of parameters here. Client, message, args. We'll also want to pass in Discord, since we don't want to reference it in all our files that we want to create embeds, and we'll want to pass in a prefix just in case we need it, like if you had a help command or something that listed. Then we'll say, and then catch to say something if something went wrong. And then we're just going to say console dot error, and then we're just going to have to first go here and then do this, and then here, and then we're actually going to go ahead and send this, plop that here, and then we're going to have to create yet another one of these objects. I like naming these just author error, and then this is the name error, and then this was the, actually this is also an error, so we can just do author error. We can do this with author error and this with author error, and then we can say uh-oh, there was an error trying to execute this command, and then we're just going to reference error. In this case, we actually wanted to be a little prettier formatting. It's interesting how these work, but this is like a full code block. The other one is not full code block. If that makes absolutely any sense, it does not. We're gonna change this from bot prefix to error embed like this. And then there we go. That's our message create file done. I promise almost done. Just a couple more files. So we're going to need to name another file called interaction create.js. Must also name specific. You can name it whatever you would like to. And we're actually going to reference a few things here. So we're going to we're going to need to create a config folder, which is going to hold all our other components. And then in here, we're just going to go ahead and create a file called command.js. Oh, again, you're allowed to name that whatever you would like to, but I want to name it that. Alright, so module exports equals, we need to make this an async function, and client interaction, and in this case we do want to pass in Discord, so we are going to go ahead and do that as before client Discord. I'm going to pass that one in, and then make that. Alright, cool. So we're going to say if client.commands.has interaction.command name. So if name like this, periods across the dot, or there is interaction dot guild, we're just going to return because we don't want it to do anything in this situation. So if there's no guild interaction, or if there is no command name, then don't do anything. Let execute to equal null, and then we're gonna let the executor, which will be not equal to this, client.commands.get, we're gonna get all our commands into interaction.command name dot, and this will be under /execute, so /execute like this. And now we're gonna embed another try statement, so try, and then we're gonna await the our little executor friend here, and we're just gonna pass in this way. I always like to put interaction last, and then once we get into a database, we'll create a doc that's public that'll go after here. I try to minimize the amount of things we need to import into every file, and then we're gonna catch, and we're gonna catch an error in this case, and then we're gonna go console that error, which will be equal to our error, and then we're gonna refer back to our message grid file, and we're just gonna copy this entire thing here and paste it right afterwards, and then copy this. Oops, sorry. Copy this and just paste this above this. Alright, yeah. So I mean, there's no point on rewriting stuff that we don't have to rewrite, so why do it? I think, yeah, this is fine. So, and then we're gonna go ahead and create another file for here. This is actually gonna be an empty, not fully empty, but it's not gonna have any content. So modular export equals async Discord client interaction. This is just gonna be empty. There's nothing actually going to be running here. This is everything. Once we get into components, we might add some stuff here later on. Alright. Now the final thing that we need to do, we're gonna create a file and we're gonna just name it handle command, and we're gonna require our command file here. In this case, we didn't name it handle command. It's in our config slash command.js if I'm correct, and then const handle component, which will be our component file, and then we'll need Discord. So Discord equals require Discord.js, and then module.exports. We just need Discord, and there's no need to make this an asynchronous function. And then if interaction dot is chat input command return handle command, do all this. This is not that, this is just this, like this, and then we're gonna go ahead and copy this and paste this, and instead of is message component, then we're gonna handle component instead, and then pass in the same things here, and that would be it. So this is everything that we need for our command handle to work. All we would need to do next is actually create stuff in our command file folder, but we're not going to go ahead and do that next. This is part 2 of maybe even a 4-part series if we want to start implementing a database. Before, I'll decide whether we'll do that when the video comes out or not. But that is all I have for today. If you like the video, show your support, and see you guys next time.